she's kindly jumped in at the last minute. She's part of the DevOps community. Oh, sorry. And this is going to be exciting. I'm just going to pass the microphone and get off the stage.
Hello, everyone. My name is Anna. Yes, I'm keeping an eye on DevOps community because I'm interested in doing some DevOps stuff, but mostly I'm known in JavaScript community in Wellington and functional programming, as I run two meetups, Wellington Functional Programming and Wellington JS. So welcome to both. You can find them on meetup.com. Bees and flowers. So this is a little bit, it's a talk 2.0 because I already gave it, I think maybe 2 years ago at Wellington, or even, earlier, 3-4 years ago, Wellington.js meetup some time ago. There's a record online, so if you search YouTube, you will find it, and you find that was a little bit more frivolous and sexy talk than this one. Maybe I'm just getting older. This one, the topic is a little bit different. It's about diversity, but I learned new things and I had new experiences since the last talk. So I want to share it today with you. Bees and flowers, you will find out why. And this is my leaf cutter bees I just bought some time ago. And my gladioli. So it's my garden, so you can see that I love gardening. And this is me. I'm a full stack developer, yes, so I love functional programming, but I don't avoid object-oriented when I can, but I do proper object-oriented, not going deep into it. And I graduated from Victoria University with graduate in science diploma with machine learning and AI. At the moment, I'm not working anywhere officially. Hopefully it will change soon. And what else? Wellington JS. Yes, there will be I think on the previous slide again, if you want to look at my posts, I don't have Twitter. You can search me and Google me because there's only two people on this planet named Anna Lezhikova. Second one is my 10-year-old niece. So it's easy to find me. Okay, diversity. What this? I'm a woman, migrant, a family person, a mother, and I started tech career 5 years ago, I think. 6 years ago, something like this. So I made a career shift. Before that, I was everything. And I had a cloth shop. I was running consultancies, worked in a construction company, and almost started my thesis in economic sociology, all of stuff. Public relations, journalism, a lot. And I was a professional musician at some time ago. I worked in an orchestra playing violin, yes, in Russia, back in Russia. We moved to New Zealand more than 7 years ago. And here I just started 5 years ago, just graduated from a code school, found a job, enrolled to uni, worked in a bank, and startups and enterprises, a lot of stuff. And I can tell you that I suffer sometimes from these diversity talks, as a lot of people do, because we know this is something that's right. This is something that we should do. But what this is really about? Why we sometimes blamed? Why we sometimes feel guilty? Why we sometimes feel unfairness? And today I want to talk about what diversity really means, and that's how to talk about it without these feelings, but with more productive approach, and really use what it can bring to us. So, phase 1, humans. Let's talk about diversity with human world, humans. I just mentioned already that gender diversity, we need more women in tech. Who haven't heard this phrase? No one, right? So everyone is, we need more women in tech. And then you're just, imagine you're a white male working at a tech company, and your manager say, we need more women. And you say, oh my gosh. And they try to hire, we're hiring. And who will be the next person who will join you? Young white male, or well, young Asian male, or Indian male, but most like sometimes girls, yes. But you think, does it matter? I don't care. As long as this person is professional, nice person, we don't care. We need the job being done. But we've been told that no, it's you. We need to hire someone, and you are responsible for making this woman or girl feeling at home, comfortable. And say, oh my God, what I'm going to do, what I'm going to do, something like this. But to be honest, this part of diversity that people are blamed for or talking about, especially in offices, especially higher levels, is a very floating thing and can be compared to a poo incident in a swimming pool. Everyone's shouting about it, yep, but it's just a one tiny poo in the swimming pool that will be removed, and then the waters will be the same again, and everyone will be playing in the pool. But in reality, diversity is like an iceberg, and we are on Titanic because we are crashing our ship against it every day, every minute, every conversation. So gender, yes, tip of the iceberg, very popular one. But people are different, diverse, not only by gender. They also are different in their bodies. Big people, small people, tall, eating a lot, not eating, vegans, vegetarians, I don't know, beer lovers, wine lovers, whiskey lovers, people who are owls or early birds or very having some skin problems, bald, glasses, whatever. And they're all different. For example, when I worked in the bank, we had a person, quite big one, and he had problems. He walked on some like 4th or 5th floor, James. Yeah, James, yeah, and Papa Bear, you know him. And he had to go to, sorry, but it's life. He had to go to toilet to the ground floor because it was the only big toilet enough, the big doors were big enough. The rest was just tiny cubicles I felt uncomfortable in. This is about diversity. People are different. Bodies are different. People are different age and at different stages in their life. They not just behave different, they react different, they talk, they got different values. Your values change during your lifetime. Just everything with values changes. Culture. New Zealand is especially rich in this. The difference among people, because we've got people from all over the world. So how many people in here were born, like we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, or 10, perfect, we can do percentage. How many of you were born in New Zealand? 30%, you can't see the certain line, but I will tell you, 3 people, 30%. How many of you lived in New Zealand, or were not born in New Zealand, but lived most of your life? It's like one extra person, so 40%. How many of you lived there more than 10 years? More like less than 10 years. Less than 10, between 10 and 5 years. One person, less than 5 years. The rest of the audience, half. Just imagine. And they're not born in New Zealand, in different countries. Another quick question. Who, just raise your hand if English is not your native language, not your first language. Half of the people in the room got English as not their first language. That's New Zealand, that the tech, again, this is just different food. Safe and open. But this person might say something else. Like this. For us, I just Google. I didn't look. Fact. Three of the images that's what it's exactly. Found yourself. Got it. They want to work something. Look for someone else. That's but is you make them more comfortable. How do you? Sorry. Not yes. Yeah. So not And this top right, the name of Cylons, like bacteria. Number. Yeah. So machine learning carefully. UT series. Is look into the not function to you. And there was uh, because you can't review questions. Are just like we honest I'm to it, but it's green. Sorry if. So I hope that it's this time's come into my lifetime, because sometimes coding is boring, to be honest, right? So I don't want to do boring parts. I want to do cool parts, and I hope machines will create some space to just push these boring parts to them, and to make our job a little bit more creative and not very mechanical at some points, because we have to. We automate a lot, but still we often have to. I'm not talking about copy paste. I'm talking about doing boring pieces. So yeah, so that's the problem. That's the different facets, if you're talking about bees, of this problem. And now you can see it's not only men and women, gender, or even not even humans. It's a lot. And let's talk about what we can do, and what we can, and why even we need it to be diverse, and what can be better. So why bees and flowers? From biology class in school, how we call this combination, relation? How do we call this relation in biology? It's symbiotic, and it's called mutual something. So when one group or organism benefits from activity of another. So flowers are pollinated by bees, and bees gathering the pollen and create honey from it, and feed their babies. But we take it from them. So yes, the same in diversity. Every person who you meet, they're different. It means that if you're doing something together and you've got different qualities, it means that you can achieve something, not just like 1 + 1, like a baby, right? So there's a couple, they've got a baby, it's 3 people now. The same in any activity. It can be 1, 2, 3, 4 people, and then when they're together in a good way, in a synergetic environment, they will create something that's bigger than the sum of the activities, right? So diversity helps to achieve better synergy, because you've got more eyes and views and skills and everything, just more. It means that you can find different use cases when you've got requirements, because the more different people, the more chances you will cover more like user cases before you find out that you've already pushed it to production and find out, oh, we forgot about this, we didn't think about this. The more different people, of type of people you got making code review, doing code review, the more chance that they will find different things in it. They will think differently. The more you have type of people and time management, like planning their lives and stuff in the team, the more you'll be able to overcome different phases of the project. When you need some like pushy people, when you need a little bit like non-risky people, and just overcome these different phases of a project, they will be pushing or pulling back. Simple, but how do we do it in reality? Because I think for me as a person, the most difficult thing just to accept that other people are not like me. How do you can even accept it, right? It's so difficult. And recently I was reading very interesting books and aspiring, and I want to share just couple of hints that you can use in your everyday life. And one of them is this phrase. I really love it. There's a gap between stimuli and reaction. Whenever you see a new person and it's different, how we differ from animals. That you've got reaction and stimuli, and you've got reaction. You show to a dog a piece of meat, and the saliva starts running, or you show even a person show a knife, and they cut themselves recently, like accidentally. They will feel pain in the hand they cut like 2 years ago, whatever. Yep, something like this. So this is stimuli and reaction. But we humans are different from animals, that we got some part of the brain that we developed not so long ago, if you look at this from evolutionary timeline. Then the front of the front, it's the front lobe, but the front of the front lobe. And then this we can use just to have a tiny, sometimes, or even big if you can, gap. And before you react to something, you can think why. What are the stimuli, and why I'm feeling like this, and how can I react to get out of this vicious circle and to change and to use this something stimuli to my benefit, to be effective and efficient and whatever, right? So this is the book that I don't agree with everything in it, but it's very nice. Some stuff is really, really cool, and we're talking about one thing in there. And highly recommend to read it, just to how to approach life and practice this thinking in the gap. And one thing there, like when we in talking to someone who is very different, and everyone tells so many books and posts about that, you need to listen. Yeah, you've heard about it. You need to listen. You need how to listen. And then there's the empathic listening, and that how you just need to listen and then repeat back what you've heard, kind of. But this book describes the thing I felt when we did this exercise at some event, and I felt really awkward, like I was talking to a parrot or some recording device. Why are you repeating, even if it's not word in word, but why would you do this? And just imagine, it's not an exercise, it's a real conversation. I would feel annoyed and uncomfortable. But this one is saying that we do, most of the time, we do 4 mistakes. These 4 typical ways of responding while listening, and the mistakes, and the ways to how to improve is just to fix on them, to feel them, to detect them. So during the conversation, if you detect them and change them, you will succeed in listening, in understanding, and in your own relationship, communication, everything. Evaluate. It's when you listen to someone and whatever they're saying, you either agree with them or disagree. you're not listening to them just like a blank page. When they're saying something, you already agree or disagree. Not a good thing. Probe. When you talk back to them and you ask questions, because when we ask questions, we show the person that we are listening. That's nice. But when we ask questions from our own frame, then it's not nice. You're not asking from their frame. You're asking from your own frame. For example, if a person tells you, yeah, it was like, there was a good example in the book about the parent, like he was talking about himself and his teenage boy, talking about the school. Yeah, Dad, I've got like, how's school? Yeah, Dad, is okay. And then you start, tell me more. Yeah, I've got problems. And then you ask what type of problems you have, but from your point of view, and not listen to them and not ask how them. For example, who problem you had with, instead of how did you feel about this? Because for them it's most important how they felt, not what exactly happened. Because it doesn't matter what happened at the school, it's important how I felt about it. But when you are from your point of view, you ask if you think will be any trouble, will I be called to meet the principal, something like this. So you ask what happened, something like this. So just ask questions, but listen to the person carefully to ask questions to create psychological air so they can tell more. And advice, then we counsel them based on our experience. But it's the same with technologies and everything that does our experience really help them? Were our problems and things we came across in our life were really the same? How do you know? It's like prescribing something to a person. You're a doctor and prescribing something on the phone only by one or two things. Not, for example, you say, we've got a fever and she's trembling, something like this. Okay, good, this medicine. And not asking how old is this person we are prescribing to. It's the same. How we can counsel someone from our experience, and very often there's an age or experience, like especially professional experience. It's very matronizing. No. Interpret. I very guilty in this, really. I often, and that's why after this book I'm just trying to change it. Interpret it when we try to figure out this person and explain their motives. Or this person did something I found strange or unacceptable or hurting me, whatever. They did something I'm not approving of. But instead of accusing them, pointing their finger or blaming them, I'm trying to find out why. Trying to find out reason from my point of view. So if it was me, I would have these reasons behind it. Again, it's wrong. Because you never can guess, and it's not right. You just sometimes need to accept that that's how they're behaving. If something affects you, you just need to talk about it from your point of view, but not trying to explain why they are doing this. Especially it's important in couples. So this is about communication. And if you are interested and want to learn more about it, just read it in the book. And there will be slides at the meetup page. Yeah, just add the slides, and if you just check the name, and this is a very famous book, very famous. I'm sure a lot of you have heard about it, at least heard about it, maybe read it. Another book that I really liked is about time, and the author is Daniel Pink, and you've heard this name because he wrote The Drive. Yeah, have you heard The Drive? Book The Drive? So highly recommend. He's a very good author. Read The Drive, and after that or before that, doesn't matter, read the When this book changed my life, honestly. But just read it. One thing in there that it said that there are people who are larks and owls, but most people are in between, but it doesn't matter. It's exactly how they're called, but what matters is different people behave and feel different during the day. And when you have a conversation with them, sometimes it's not less important than who they are, their temperament, character, background, whatever. Sometimes if you talk to the same person 2 different times of the day, it will feel like a different person. So when you want to have read this book about the details, and when you're playing a very serious, important conversation, just like to start with, then take the time into the equation. And then just take the time into equation of everything, scheduling meetings, doing important tasks, doing not important tasks, reflecting how you feel and how to be more productive. Just really check this book out. One more thing. Another thing that just decided not to do slides. Another thing that you can change about time. Engineering time versus manager time. Who has heard about this? Engineering time and manager time. Heard about this? Yep. So engineering time, when you need a slot at least of 2, 3, 4 hours, because we as developers, engineers, you've got such a thing that's called context. When you open your editor, you open the code you wrote yesterday, it's early in the day, and you have to read it again to get into the context. It takes from 1-2 minutes to half an hour, depending on the complexity of the problem and how it just can vary. And then when you're in the context, because we are problem solvers, we need to stay in the context to solve the problem uninterrupted. Managers, they got a different type of approach to job, because the most of the time what they do gluing and with communications, planning, all the stuff. So their work is very sporadic and like impulses. For us, it's you need a slot and to emerge underwater and do your job and then go out. For them, it just jump out, jump in, jump out, jump in, jump out all the time. That's how they do it. And when these two parties don't understand each other, then you have the problem with the meetings. Who hasn't had the problem with the meeting in the middle of the day? That just ruins everything. And then you got back to the desk and into the context, and then you got another meeting. And after a day or two, you sat at your desk, you tried to work, you were reading, you may be writing something, but how much you have accomplished? 0, right? This is called the engineers versus managers. So time is a very, very important dimension in our life. Another thing, the last one that you can pay attention to for diversity is hiring. If you are in a position that you're hiring someone, sometimes you've got more experienced person versus and very, very like you, and not so less experienced person that's got different life experience, a little bit different. I can tell you a secret that in our profession, you from like technologies, tools, all the stuff, you can learn anything. It's not easy or difficult. You can. It's possible, very possible. People, because you, from your experience, you have to learn something new all the time, because it's changing all the time. So if we are learning all the time, if you don't have experience in some framework or tool, it means nothing when you're hiring a person, because they just learn it. But other things that you can't learn in a day, month, or year on online tutorial or watching YouTube, other things are more important, because you can't learn them quickly and you can't change them quickly. But when we hire, most of the time, we pay attention only to technical skills, to be honest, right? Or personality, like, not from this point of view, like personality, like fitting, team, like decent person, honest, friendly, smiling, team player, all this stuff. But we don't go deeper into really different things, because it's difficult. For our, not the front brain, our back of the front brain, yeah, and front of the middle brain is very protective. So we don't want people who are not like us, right? We feel uncomfortable. We afraid of people who are not like us, but we need to hire them. That's and when people are hired, then it's, even if you're not in hiring process, you got colleagues who are different, right? So it's in your power, in your hands, to yourself stay in the place if you're different, or for other people to help them stay, to retain these people. Because retaining is another big problem. People get hired and then they leave because they don't feel fit. And retaining is, for example, like on this, we've got on the whiteboard here is a list of things they want to do for meetings and team time, team building time. So no, it doesn't matter. Yeah, it's just like we want something. We want more. The questions. What would you like to have more at meetings? What type of drinks and food? And where would you like to go? It's a good start, but it's something that not all people like the same things. And very quick example. Sometimes it's quite difficult to tell it aloud that I don't like this activity. And people will just say, okay, let's go, and they will suffer and they won't enjoy it at all. So whenever you're in the office, even very tiny group, and you want to do something collectively, just create anonymous poll. Very easy. But people will be will find it more easy to say no. Because sometimes it's just people just can't do some stuff and won't enjoy it. I think that's all. Was it more than 30 minutes? Sorry. Yeah, and so you can find me by my name, surname. I run Wellington JavaScript. Please welcome Wellington Functional Programming. Hopefully we'll find more speakers and we'll have an event in some near future. And if you are going to Auckland or will be in Auckland and want to go to Full Stack Day conference in March, I will be giving a talk there about Svelte. I think that's all. Yeah, if you have any questions about diversity or this stuff, or I mentioned something and you want link or more clarification, please message me either on Meetup or Slacks. I'm on Golang Slack now. So you can find me there. You can find my avatar there and message me, or you can find me dev Slack and there something. I don't remember how it's called, but anyway, you can find me. DevOps Slack and Dev New Zealand Slack and JavaScript Slack, and just Google me, find me. Thank you.
Let's give her a round of applause. That was so cool. Do you want to take any questions? Are there any questions?
No, not later. If
Later.
after, because.
Okay. Wow, that was really cool. So I've been in two types of teams. I've been in teams where there's been